Hey, if you didn't know, I'm Nye and welcome to my channel. Today's video is my way of helping out my viewers and their loved ones. If you've been tuning into the life of Nye, then you know I haven't posted in a while, and that's partially due to the fact that I have been creating masks for COVID-19. On this video, I'm going to show you all how to sew a mask. You may not want to spend money and buy one, or you may not be able to buy one, so I'm here to help out. I'll be using a sewing machine to sew my mask, but you can also hand sew it. It'll take a little bit longer, but at least you'll be safe. There are tons of different patterns and tons of different ways for you to make a mask, so I'm going to show you my way. The first thing I did was created a pattern. I didn't have a printer at the time, so I couldn't print one offline. I just looked at pictures of masks and drew my own. So this is mine. Oops. It was backwards. This is my template. So you basically see the shape, nose, chin, and then of course the sides. Now the pattern is always going to be bigger than what the mask is going to actually turn out as, because you have to sew around the seam. One thing that I do for my mask that everyone doesn't necessarily do is put a pocket on my mask. So in the inside there's a pocket so that you can put a filter or take a filter out. All of my masks come with removable filters, so it gives you the option if you think it's too thick or if you want more protection. Because of this, I had to make two templates. So as y'all saw, my first template and then my back template. My back template, if you can see, is a little bit longer than my front template because I have to cut it, then sew a seam, which you'll see, and then put it together for the pocket. Let me show y'all an example of the pocket I'm talking about. So here's a mask I created, and on the back right here you'll see there's a little pocket, and then the inside is a removable filter. So yeah, I'm going to show you how to do all of this. My patterns are laminated. I just so happen to have aunts who do a lot of business and a lot of crafts, so they're easily at my disposal, but you can just use a piece of paper. So it's paper on the inside and I laminated it. After you have completely drawn and cut out your pattern, next you want to cut out the actual pattern on the fabric. Today we're using this iridescent purple fabric. I love this fabric. Initially I made a denim mask for me, but then once I got this in, I knew I needed one. Once you cut the fabric out, you want to make sure that it's actually the size of the pattern. It's okay if it's not perfect. Remember, you are sewing around the seams, so you're not going to see all of the edges, so jagged edges are fine. You just want to make sure that the fabric that you cut out from the pattern is the general shape of the pattern. So like I said before, we have the front of the mask right here, and now you want to take the back pattern that we cut out from the longer medium back. So again, this is how I make masks, but there are tons of ways to make it. So just to show you, the back is longer. It doesn't have to be this much longer, but longer. You want to have some allowance. So you want to lay the back on top of the front, pull it over as far as you want your seam for your pocket to be. Take your scissors, take your scissors and cut. Now you have two pieces. Now that the prep work is done, let's get to sewing. From the pieces of fabric that we cut in half, we're going to take the left piece, move that out the way, and you want to fold it. You don't want the seam that you're going to make to be too thick because you don't want to waste too much fabric, but you also don't want it to be too thin because you want the stitch to be able to go down. Turn the machine on. You might want to do that first. You want to make sure that the front of the mask is facing up. So we're going to take the pockets and put them back like they were before we stitched them, but we're going to overlap the stitching to make a pocket. Make sure that the center on both the top and the bottom are lined up. I like to have the biggest piece down first so that the smallest piece of the pocket is behind. You want to lay it on top of it, overlap it, of course. I know a lot of you may be beginners and may have never sewn before in your life. So if you're using a sewing machine or if you're hand sewing, I recommend using stick pins or push pins. My push pins come in this little cute flower case, and it's so that your fabric pieces don't move as you're sewing. Once you have everything lined up, as you can see, it's all lined up. I personally like to flip it. Line up the edge of your fabric with the 5/8 mark. Drop your foot, and let's get sewing. Again, remember, you can hand sew this. So the stitching that I'm doing, if you have a hand needle and thread, you can go through with the hand needle and go around all the edges. I go down the entire length of the side of the mask. I like to leave about a 1/2 inch gap so that when I thread my string through, so you can tie it around your head, there won't be any stitching for that, and it's enough room for it to fit. I like to use a zigzag stitch or a double stitch when I go down the main seam, just to make sure they're really secure. You want to make sure that as you're going, the edge of your pattern is staying in that same position. Stop about 1 inch away from the edge of the fabric. Raise your needle, raise your foot, and then switch it back to the same edge at the 5/8 mark. Again, remember that you want to go all the way down on the left and right side of the mask. 1/2 inch gap. The edge is staying the exact same amount around the entire mask. And I ran out of thread. If your thread runs out, if you're using a machine, it's okay, because once you rethread your machine, you can just overlap a stitch that you already did, and it'll be seamless nonetheless. If you have any extra fabric, you want to trim it. You don't want the inside to be too thick when you pull the mask inside out. The next thing you want to do is trim any loose strings you think might hang out, and then flip it inside out. As y'all can see, the pocket is not just good for putting the filter in, but it's also good for helping pull the mask inside out. As many of you know, and some of you may not, I'm a painter, so I like to use a paintbrush. Use the end of it and just stick it in where the rope will go, to make sure that I pulled out all of the corners as well as made it as neat as possible. Now that the mask is completely right side out and your little pocket is done, you see how neat that is? That's what you want it to look like. We're gonna fold it in half. After you fold your mask in half, you wanna make sure that the bottom is at the bottom and the top is at the top. As you can see, the bottom kind of curves down, whereas the top curves up, and the top is just a little bit pointier than the bottom. So it doesn't matter if you do the top or the bottom first, but I'm going to start with the bottom. You want to make sure that the corner is right at that same 5/8, and you want to make sure that your fabric is right where the needle will stop. We're making darts so that the mask fits your face properly. I made a stitch going across at about a little less than a 90-degree angle, and then we're going to cut off this extra piece of fabric. And now this is cut, and you want to repeat what you did on the bottom on the top. Now we are going to cut off the excess just like we did on the bottom. Now that we cut all the excess fabric and flipped it inside out, the mask is basically done. You just have to pop out your darts like so, and there you go. Of course, the mask isn't completely done because how are you going to connect it to your face? So for my mask, I use rope. It's really movable, so it's comfortable against your skin and on your head. So because I'm using one long rope, so it can go behind your neck and then tie around above your ears, I like to start the threading at the top. So when you look at your mask, when it's folded, you should be able to tell which is the top and which is the bottom. As you can see, the dart for the bottom is a little bit bigger or longer than the dart for the top. So I always start threading through the top, bottom, bottom, top. Let's go. You can also use the pocket to help thread the string. As you can see, I just pulled the string through one end and through the pocket. So now that I pushed it through the bottom, you can see the safety pins coming through the hole at the top, so it will help me guide the string through. So now we're done with one side, and now I just have to go through the other. And we are done. The mask is done. You did a good job if you did it. If it turned out this way. I know you will. I know you'll do good. But now you have yourself a mask. What do you think? If y'all are making masks, or if you was already making masks, whether you're selling them or just making them for your family, leave a comment below. I would like to see if you use my patterns, how they turned out. And even if you don't use my patterns, what other ways people are making their masks. So yeah, to put the mask on, well, to put the mask that I'm making on, you want to have the front facing your chest. Lift up the loop around your head, then just pull the string and turn the back of your head. And yeah. Make sure your mask fits your face properly and there's no huge gaps, whether you're making it yourself or purchasing from someone else. If you would like to purchase one of the masks that I am sewing and making, you can go to my Instagram or my Twitter, GorgeousPersona on both. And the order form is on there. You can send it to me via DM or you can email it to me. Thank you all for tuning in yet again, and I hope you enjoyed my video. I'm trying to spread awareness and help you all stay safe, just like I'm helping me and my family and friends stay safe. I wish y'all the best. Stay safe, stay inside, and keep your mask on.